Kahalo Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutations to you brothers out here pushing the words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to the elect. Getting right back into it. Always studying what you learn, which is going to give you more faith in the end. And question what you've been taught since you was a baby. Now here we going into the virgin birth scenario and seeing how first it is not definitive that Mary was an untouched woman at the conception of Yahweh Shah, which we actually believe and teach that she was touched. She had conceived seed from her husband Joseph, okay, in which that's how she got pregnant with Yahweh Shah. But we can still prove definitively that just because the scriptures call her a virgin does not mean that there's only one definition of virgin. All right, which is just language. It's just language, man. It's just context and language at the end of the day, and a little bit of common sense you can add to that. So Matthew 1:23, it says, "Behold, the virgin shall be with child." So automatically, in the English language, the unlearned, you'll say that the word virgin definitively only means one thing, and that is that a woman has never had sex with a man. That is the only version that the English-speaking language Americans know of, which shouldn't be. It says, "A virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son." So now we have a scenario in which a woman, according to America and according to the English language, a woman has never had sex, is having a child. That is the story and the narrative that we've been taught since birth. The Immaculate Conception, meaning it was of the Lord and a miracle that this woman, and a sign and a miracle that this woman who had never had sex before had as a child. That's what the church still believes. That's what the Roman Catholic Church still believes. That's what the Baptist Church and the Methodist and the Episcopalian, they all still believe it. But we're here to bring some light into that this wonder, okay, and this belief. It says, "And shall bring forth the son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which shall be interpreted God with us." Simple way to look this up. Interlinear. You go into the interlinear, and you scroll down into which is a Greek word for virgin, Parthenos, as you can see right here, G3933, Parthenos. We'll select G3933, Parthenos. You see that? And as you come down, you'll see a virgin. Once again, you're still thinking along the lines of a woman that has never known a man, not thinking about age or anything. This says a marriageable maiden. A marriageable maiden. All right, now you're introduced to now you're connecting words with virgin. Okay? Now you're connecting words with virgin. The words you should connect with virgin is a marriageable maiden. What does marriageable mean? Marriageable means fit, suitable, or attractive for marriage, especially in being of the right age. Marriageable girls. So now we understand that virgin should also be connected with the understanding of a marriageable girl. Marriageable means fit, suitable, and attractive for marriage, especially in being the right age. So virgin, marriageable. Virgin, marriageable girl. Now you have the word maiden here. Maiden, a girl or young woman, especially an unmarried one. So it has two parts here. When it says a girl and a young woman, that's what maiden means. The especially is an addition. In addition to being a young woman, it says a maiden is especially an unmarried one. So if it's especially an unmarried one, what is the opposite of that? What is not especially? Not especially married ones. So whether she is married or unmarried, the word maiden means a girl or a young woman, period. A girl or a young woman. All right? So now we have a situation where marriageable means fit, ripe, in the right age, and maiden means a young girl or a woman. So now we have a new definition for virginity already, for virgin, Parthenos virgin. A young woman that is of a marriageable age. A young woman that is of a marriageable age. That's it. So that alone tells you that a virgin could be a young woman at a marriageable age. It tells you nothing further of whether she is married or unmarried. It says especially unmarried. However, the married virgin, according to a marriageable maiden, there can be a married virgin. Once again, a young woman. Let's go into more details. A woman who has never had sexual intercourse with a man now specifies. Separate than a marriageable maiden, it specifies a woman that has never had intercourse with a man. That is the generic, most common definition of virgin. We understand that. Even in the English language, if I walk up to a woman and I say, "Are you a virgin?" she's going to say yes or no based on her sexual experience or lack thereof. Don't rule out the fact that in the ancient world, just young women in general was called virgins. Young women in general were called Parthenos. All right. And that might have meant she's married and unmarried. Let's go on. A man who has abstained from all uncleanness and whoredom or tendency, right? Because in the book of Revelations, it considers the men to be, it considers men as virgins, chaste for the Lord. That's Revelations 4:4. Right? We don't have to get that. So as we go down, we see a young woman, okay? Now, where this comes from, and the word here is bathwala. That's where you get the word bathwala in the Hebrew, meaning marriageable maiden. So a woman that is at the age of marriage, fit for marriage, young. Behold, I stand by the well, which also tells you that Mary was a very young woman. So let's leave off the definition that she was untouched because she had a husband named Joseph who at that time they didn't have a ceremony. All right. But the law tells you that if you have, Paul expounded that if you have a woman and she's if you have a wife or betrothed to a wife, if you have a spouse, if you have if you're betrothed to a woman, I'll just get it. Because Paul spoke about it. But it is not a sin. It says, but if 1 Corinthians 7:36, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, all right, this is his virgin, so his young woman, in this case unmarried, untouched. If she passed the flower of her age, meaning she becomes marriageable. Remember, marriageable has more to do with the readiness and the age of the woman for marriage. She's marriageable because her readiness, her fitness, and her age, meaning past the flower of her age, is talking about hitting puberty. When a woman hits puberty, she is marriageable, according to the Bible. It says, and need so require. This is talking about the man that behave himself uncomely, meaning he's ready to have sex with his wife, because in the ancient world, you would get betrothed, or you would get pre-selected marriages, or you would know who you're going to marry long before she's of the marriageable age. You might be, the parents might already agreed that you will marry their daughter as babies. And you grow up to till she's at her marriageable age, and then you actually have the ceremony and go forth and marry her in the commencing of the marriage, the commencing of a marriage. What constituted or commemorated, or basically what ended, what finished the process of marriage, was always sex. So in this case, a man has a bride or a virgin who he has not went through the ceremonies yet with, but he's ready for the sex because he's in need. It says, in need so require. Let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. Let them marry, because having sex would marry you. Officially, you are not married until you have sex with your bride. And that's where the token of virginity comes in. Because if she was already married before, she already had sex before, come to find out this young woman had already had sex by the time you marry her, then you have sex and there's no hymen. The hymen has already been bust, and it's so, figurative cherry has been popped. There's no look up token of virginity. Understand that concept and what that meant in the ancient world as far as untouched women go. You had to know that your woman was untouched, and that's because her hymen gland would bust while you're having sex with her for the first time. That's her first encounter. And if that's her husband, he should be the one that breaking that seal. You don't want a seal that's already been broken. If you get an orange juice and you open it up and that seal open, they tell you on the bottle, return it. It's been touched. Same way with the woman. So that's why the virginity meant everything. Now go fast. We're going back to Mary. She was a virgin until her husband Joseph went in unto her. So in particular, when you're dealing with the scripture, she's a young woman. All right. She's betrothed to Joseph. He goes into her. She's still a virgin. Why? Because a virgin is a young woman of a marriageable age. She's still considered a virgin. Now going back into so whether a young woman is having sex or not, according to the definition of the second definition of the word, she's still a virgin. A virgin is just a young woman of a marriageable age. Now let's get into where this scripture comes from. Is Isaiah 7:14. It says, therefore the Lord hath to give that. So that was Parthenos in the Greek. But let's get into the Hebrew. Therefore, Isaiah 7:14, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive. Automatically ringing bells in your mind. You're probably thinking of a white woman. I mean, the church has lied to you plenty of times. What makes you, they lie to you about the color of the Lord? Who you are? What makes you think that they're so on point with this virgin birth concept? They're not. It says, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, shall call his name Emmanuel. And once again, really fast, when you go into some of the translation comparisons, you'll see some translations actually don't say virgin, and they put the proper word there. As you can see here, RSV, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a young woman shall conceive. A young woman shall conceive. This one says, behold, an Alma shall conceive. Because they don't want to interject virgin birth into your mind. She was a virgin, but what does that word virgin mean? This NET says, look, this young woman is about to conceive. A young woman, Mary was probably around the age of 14. She gave birth to the Lord when Joseph went in unto her. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive. Let's go into the word virgin. Why? Because words matter. Definitions matter. Context matters. Alma is the word here. When you go into the root word of alma, you'll see young man. It's from the root word alam. Young man, stripling. What's a stripling? It's another word for young man. Stripling. A young man. So the masculine form of the word alma is lad, young man. So here you get to the feminine form of the word alma. Instead of alam, is alma. It's a young woman. And most young women are what? Unmarried. Or most young, it says here, a marriageable age. Maid or newly married. So it could be a maid, meaning a young woman that doesn't belong to anybody, or a woman that is newly married, she hasn't had sex yet, or a woman that is just young, a young woman. This is some this is some interjection right here of somebody that believes that she was a virgin as she conceived. But a virgin, a damsel, a maid. What's a damsel? All right, a young woman. When you say a damsel in distress, you're not thinking about a virgin. You're just thinking about a young woman. You think of a maiden or a maid, you're just thinking of a young woman. Some of you think the word maid means somebody that cleans your house. That's why also you need to continue to look up words. Maid. A maid. It says a female domestic servant. A girl, archaic, or the first type of definition. A girl or young woman, especially an unmarried one. So they could specify and make especially that the fact of the matter is a young woman is still a virgin. A young woman is still a virgin, whether she's had sex or not. It says here, young woman, ripe sexually. What's that got to do with whether she had sex or not if she's ripe sexually? Once she passes the flower of her age, she becomes a virgin because she's ripe sexually. In Genesis 24 and 43, behold, I stand by the well of the water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to the water, and I say to her, give me, I pray, a little one. How can you tell if a woman is a virgin by just looking at her? Are you going to ask her, excuse me, have you had sex yet? That's not what happened. He noticed a young woman, a woman that was ripe sexually, and that was going to be his wife. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. This is a young woman who was ripe sexually. Get that in your mind. Mary was a young woman that was ripe sexually. That does not mean that Joseph never went in unto her. That word virgin in particular is dealing with a young woman. It says even here, Ayla Mawath, the voice of young woman, either literally or of soprano or falsetto of boys. All right, because also when you go into one of these definitions based on young woman or virgin, you'll see it says soprano. Soprano is it says boys, but soprano, most notable sopranos are women or young women or even young boys. It's just a high-pitched sound. As you look into a soprano, it says the voice of when you go into this definition, soprano is also dealing with mainly women are known to be sopranos. Soprano, let's see. It says soprano is a type of a classical female singing voice. It says right here, female singing voice. So we're talking about a young woman with a high-pitched voice. It's just hinting in the fact that a virgin is just a young woman who is ripe sexually. And especially somebody who has never been touched. But she can be married or unmarried and still be a virgin or a damsel. It's just a young woman. So at the end of the day, what this precept, what this is signifying is that, therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin or a young woman who is ripe, and she was betrothed to Joseph. And Joseph, because he was burning with lust, went in unto his wife prior to their marriage, prior to the ceremony, prior to all of these steps that you take before you go in, right? Prior to the family or seeing you go off into the bed chambers, prior to setting up the sheets so that you can have the token of virginity. He just went in unto her. She was of a marriageable age. She probably was betrothed to her for it felt like a lifetime. He has his young bride Mary, and he was ready. Behold, the virgin, a young woman. All right. The word here is alama, a young woman, untouched woman. She was actually a virgin, and then he touched her. But in this, she was a virgin based on being untouched and based on being young. Even after she was touched and had sex with Joseph, she was still a virgin based on her ripeness of marriageable age. She was still a virgin because she was a young woman. And so when a virgin conceives, it is talking about Mary being a young woman. I was trying to find some of this, let's see if I have some of this stuff. Because I was looking, no, I can't find that. All right. So that's pretty much it. You can always go through a few of these books, or you can also go some text commentaries. I was kind of looking for something good. And people talking about the virgin birth and how they deal with it. It says here, many commenters think that this was immediately fulfilled when a young woman in the royal house shortly married to conceive a son. No, that's talking about that time. It says about this, this is the one of the most famous prophecies regarding the birth of Yahushua, the Messiah in the Bible. It says, Spurgeon said of this passage that it is said to be one of the most difficult in all the world, word of God. Why? Because throughout time, there's always been, this confusion has always been pushed on people that, the only virgin is, Mary would never conceive. Mary never conceived. And it was pushed and it was pushed. No, that we're a virgin, and the back and forth on if she was married, or back and forth on if she ever had sex when she conceived, and the back and forth on how old she was. No, it's talking about a young woman. And so, the lies got pushed more than the truth. Obviously, we in a era where people believe that Yahushua was a white man, even though Edomite scholars will tell you he was never white. Pastors have come out, so-called white men have come out and said that he's not white. There's no way. Or red, right? Even the fact that they call themselves white when white is a completely different shade in color than they are. They're more pink. So the lies have been pushed, man. What makes you think this part they were so accurate on this? It says one of the most difficult in all the word of God. It may be so. I certainly do not think it was until I saw what the commentators had to say about it. And I rose up from reading them perfectly confused, because the commentators, they don't all agree unanimously that the Lord was birthed by an unmarried, untouched woman. They don't all agree on that unanimously. I was hoping it didn't do that. You know, they don't all agree on that unanimously. Oh, that's what I don't want. And neither do we, man. You know, neither do we. Let's see here. Commentaries. So here's a commentary section on Isaiah 7:14, virgin birth. Let's see some of the commentaries for this. Better behold the young woman. Better behold the young woman. So this man Eliot, whatever, researcher, scholar, has commentaries on every scripture from the beginning to the end of the Bible. He's came to the understanding that it should say, behold the young woman instead of virgin. It says, or perhaps the bride shall conceive. Because a young woman, a virgin is a young woman of a marriageable age. It's about her age more than it's about her sex. In one standard, and in another standard, it's about her sexual status, whether she's been untouched. But either way, you can't take out you can't deny that there's two contexts to this thing. The first noun has the definite article in the Hebrew, and the word, though commonly used of the unmarried, strictly speaking, denotes rather one who has arrived at marriageable age. Marriageable age. Once again, virgin is more about age, marriageable age, than it is about the status of her sexuality. It's about age. The first virgin is about her age. So you can have a girl who's 6, 7, 8. By American standards, she's a virgin. By biblical standards, this definition, she's not a virgin because she's not ripe sexually. She's not matured sexually. She's not of a marriageable age. People were going around starting to say that, well, maybe Mary was 5 years old, 6 years old. Because according to that definition, untouched, you can a 2-year-old baby is a virgin in their eyes. But what if virgin meant a woman who has arrived at a marriageable age, like it did in the archaic meaning? We're talking about a time back in the ancient world, man. Behold, a virgin shall conceive a seed, a child, and call his name Emmanuel, meaning a woman of a marriageable age, understandably. Why? Because she gets pregnant by her husband Joseph. It says bride in the Old English and German sense of the word applied to one who is about to become a wife or is still a young wife. Will perhaps best express its relationship in the two Hebrew words which respectively and distinctively are used for virgin or for wife. Psalm 68:26, the authorized version, gives damsels. That's it. And then you're gonna have certain passages that say, yes, she was untouched. But it wasn't a unanimous decision that Mary never had sex. It was not unanimous. I don't know what they're talking about here. It says, in general, origin meaning is not difficult. It is that in short time, within the time when a young woman, then a virgin, should conceive and bring forth a child, and the child should grow old enough. A young woman. A virgin. This word probably means girl, maiden, virgin, a young woman who is unmarried and who is of a marriageable age. It says in the other definitions, a young woman, especially unmarried. So you can't tie in the fact that she ain't never had sex just because she's a young woman and not consider her a virgin anymore. That definition is the newer definition and not the oldest ones. We're talking about a prophecy over almost 3,000 years old. Well over 2,000 years old. It says the word alma is derived from the verb alam, to conceal, hide, and cover. The word alam from the same verb is applied to a young man. So alam, young man. Alama, untouched woman? Nah. Alam, young man. Alama, young woman. The word here is translated virgin. Just means young woman, man. Denote a young unmarried female. Because by nature, most young women is going to be virgins unless their husband go in unto them. And that's the case here. When did Joseph have sex with Mary? Well, he did that without the proper steps of that time. He just went unto her. And that's why Paul wrote about that. Look, you're not behaving yourself uncomely if you have a virgin and she's of the flower of her age, she's ripe sexually, and you going into her, you haven't committed a offense, man. Because you know the fathers might have had a way to, well, put it off and put it off again and put it off and put off the marriage, and you betrothed, you know this is going to be your wife, and you know you're ready to make moves. That should be the main conversation, not that there is no possible way that Mary had sex and that's blasphemy for saying that. Nah, man, you got to go into words first. You gotta you know you gotta prove it. In the Syriac, the word alam means to grow up. Hence, the derivatives are applied to youth, to young men, to young women, to those who are growing up and becoming youths. Mary was a young woman. She was becoming a youth. She was a young woman. She was becoming youth. Like, you go from adolescence to youth. You go from adolescence to young woman. And then you become a woman. But even at that age, you're still, once you meet the marriageable age, meaning you're sexually ripe, you're a woman. You're just young. You're the younger woman. Later on in life, you'll be an older woman. The etymology of the word requires us to suppose that it means one who is growing up to a marriageable state, to an age of puberty. The word maiden or virgin expresses the correct idea. Maiden, virgin, interchangeable. A woman who has met the age of puberty or is approaching that age. As the other definitions say, sexually ripe, the age of marriageable age. Genius, it says, Hastenberg contends that it means one in the unmarried state. So you have somebody that says, no, it means that she hasn't had sex yet. And then the other person says, no, it just means she's at a marriageable age now. You see, this has always been the dilemma here with this verse. It says Gesenius, that it means simply the being of a marriageable age, the age of puberty. See, one man said, listen, it's just about the age. Virgin, to be a virgin, speaking more directly of the age of the woman, not of her sexual status. And the other man would say, no, it speaks more of the sexual status. And today that word definitely means more of sexual status. And it's almost like the other definition of marriageable age has been completely rooted out. It's because look at marriage today. It has nothing to do with the age. Nobody's looking at it. First of all, 18. And then they say in order to have sex with somebody, a child is still considered 17 years old. Times have changed drastically, man. A child was a woman who wasn't sexually ripe. She hasn't reached puberty. Was a child, a young woman. A woman began to be a young woman when she reached puberty, and she was of a marriageable age. And a man, if he went in unto her, If that was his wife and he went in and he had sex with her, Paul said he wasn't going off. You know, and to this day, that definition of a virgin being a young woman, that is just lost. It's lost. And so you have to remind people that words had definitions prior and meanings, different meanings prior to this generation that we in today. Words in previous generations, meaning archaic from the ancient time, these words that were still around had different meanings than they do today. All right, but you can go into all of these words. You can continue to look it up for yourself. It's all here. Check out the commentaries. And Lord willing, this video is edifying. Shalom.